Hello everybody, my name's James. Welcome to the Planet FPL Gameweek22 Deadline stream in partnership with FPL Team. And it's live. FPL Team is your best one-stop shop for all your FPL planning. It's particularly handy when you've got 9 million in the bank and you need to spend some of it and not too sure what you want to do, not just now, but in future weeks with blanks and doubles coming up. Remember, you can get my projections for the future double game weeks on FPL Team. Just drop down to the bottom and hit the Planet FPL projected fixtures above the fixture graph. Hope you're all well. It is 5:05 on January the 30th. We're 55 minutes away from the Gameweek22 deadline, and we'll try and answer as many of your questions as possible ahead of the 6 p.m. UK deadline. What I'm not going to do is answer 371 fucking questions on Erling Haaland. I'll explain my thoughts at the start. Firstly, take you through the graphics. To the left of me, you'll see my correct score predictions for all 10 games this week. Only one clean sheet predicted. That's for Manchester City. And you'll see my top 10 captaincy picks in order of preference. And yes, the robot is top. Below me, right at the bottom of the screen, you'll see the fixture ticker, next 5 game week fixtures for all 20 teams. And you'll also see the benching dilemma graphic, where outfield players run from pages 1 to 4 in order. The player with the tick is the preferred player to start from those two, and then they run left to right, pages 1 to 4. And you also see some goalkeepers on page 5 for you to choose from. Bottom right of the screen, you'll see my predicted lineups for all 20 teams this game week. And to the top right hand corner of the screen, you can see my team, and a transfer has been made. I cannot be bothered to wait. Erling Haaland is in for me, for Dominic Solanke, leaving me with circa 1.9 in the bank for reference. And I'm captaining him. If I'm getting him in, I think I'm captaining him. For me, this comes down to upside. And I know there's enough people out there, I think, aren't going to do it. There's a little bit too much fear knocking about. And I understand why that fear's there. My confidence in Erling Haaland starting this week would be probably a shade over 50%. That's it. I knew that I was buying him most likely either this week or next week, and I don't want to be on the wrong side of this week. I also don't think there's enough of a standout alternative captaincy option this week. I've got the vice captaincy on Ollie Watkins, and I actually think he's the second best choice, because for those who might have heard our Patreon pod on Friday, or perhaps the one this morning, I think they'll probably win quite comfortably against Newcastle tonight. I think they might get a few. And there's enough danger now in Alvarez, Foden, with De Bruyne lurking, Haaland lurking obviously, Doku, Oscar Bob integrating into the team. I think the best City captaincy, if I wasn't going to captain Haaland, I think is Phil Foden, and that had been my intention. I just spoke on our Patreon podcast this morning about wanting to take the plunge and get Haaland in, purely because I thought there was going to be so many wouldn't do it. And Pep Guardiola confirming that he'd be in the squad tomorrow is enough for me to go for it. I think you can make all the comparisons in the world between how quickly Haaland's comes back versus how quickly De Bruyne's come back, and you can spin that narrative either way. De Bruyne, for example, was a very long-term muscle injury. Haaland's has been a bone injury, and I think we've seen Haaland training in Dubai on their winter break a couple of weeks ago, running and stuff like that. Now it's just a case of, I think, if he's pain-free. So I think his fitness is okay. If he's available, my instinct is that he'll start. I will repeat, my confidence in that is not high. For me personally, have decided to take the plunge and get on with it and do it, because I know if I don't buy him now, I'm buying him next week. Solanke's a little bit of a reluctant sell, particularly with Nottingham Forest at home next, but I think he was always going to be sacrificial for me when I look at Fulham away, Newcastle away and Manchester City at home as the following 5. Should that extra fixture land in 27 or 28, or him even have the Luton game in 29, that 5% probability I mentioned on yesterday's podcast, then we'll go back and get him. I think he was going to be a sacrifice for me. In terms of keeping Alvarez rather than Solanke, the thinking with that is, well, if I'm damn unlucky and Haaland's a sub, then, well, good news is I've still got Alvarez at home to Burnley. That's the thinking. It might even be that Haaland, Alvarez, Foden stay as my 3 Manchester City going into game week 25, and then I can just focus on Liverpool if the double game week announcement happens in the next couple of weeks. and then move Liverpool/Chelsea back off again when they blank in game week 26. Pedro Porro is going absolutely nowhere. So that's my reasoning. Now, of course, we can use Haaland hasn't played for 6 weeks. It's Burnley at home. Why rush him? And I completely agree with all those sentiments. I've just said to a few of our patrons that I think this comes down to gut feel and how do you feel about it. And shout out to Adam English if he's telling me that news is correct, that South Korea are losing in the Asia Cup, because and they are. That's the best bit of news I've heard so far today. No offence to South Korea, just, priorities, getting sunny for Goodison on Saturday. So that's my thoughts on Haaland. I think -4s is probably enough in it that maybe I probably wouldn't do it. For me, it was there to do it with the money in the bank, to do it with one free transfer. I've done it. And having gotten him in, I think the right solution is to gamble it, go for the upside, which is a rare one with Haaland, and stick the armband on him. That's my decision. Right. If you've got something that I've just kind of covered about Erling Haaland, do feel free to delete it. It'd be much, much appreciated. Let's get into your cues. We'll rattle through these then. JP says, hi, James. Hope you're well. I am. Thank you, mate. Hope you are too. Says, who'd sell out a Saka, Bowen, Richarlison, Jota, Palmer to buy KDB, or Lascelles to Walker is stupid? And I'm going to say Cole Palmer, mate. Your timing's okay. Away to Liverpool. Got Man City away in 25. Blank in 26. Might not play in 29. Yeah, Palmer for me, mate. And on that, yeah, I've picked Leon Bailey to start over Cole Palmer, which actually means, ironically, I've now ended up in an all-in situation. So I don't have Palmer against Trent, and I know they're both in for offensive reasons, basically. I don't have Solanke going up against Areola either. Aaron Hills has taken a -4 this week to bring in KDB and Haaland. Very risky, I know. I also own Foden. Do you think Foden's EO will be over 100, and just owning KDB and Haaland is enough, or should one of them get the captaincy? Again, this is a narrative you can spin either way. I think there might be enough people that do what I've done and make decisions. Go, yeah, I'm going Haaland, and if I'm going Haaland, I'm gonna stick the armband on him because there'll be an unusual amount of upside. Imagine you've got Haaland captaincy at home to Burnley, and he does start, and his EO's like over 100. It's something we won't have seen since basically he joined the league. Certainly since those first few game weeks, anyway. So that's what I'm gambling on. It's that. It's not the fear of, what if you don't play? I'm gambling on the upside. So for me, I can only say that's what I'm doing. That's probably the answer I should therefore give you, as you've already bought Haaland into your team. I do think Foden's EO will be massive. I was surprised just how big Cole Palmer's was in game week 21. So there's every chance that Foden will be kind of a loser in my book this week, if you will. If that's the case, then fine. I'm chasing that upside. Do I think Haaland will be over 100 EO? Probably not. But it depends just how many buyers, I guess, he's got today. Sicilian FPL says, hi, James. Not convinced that I'm going KDB, so now considering either Bernardo or Walker to keep until game week 26. Who do you reckon scores more in this one? Either keep. So now considering either Bernardo to keep. I mean, if you've got both, I'd probably just wait it out and keep both at the moment and sort of reassess in maybe say game week 24. That would be my take. In terms of which probably scores higher, again, there's a little bit of upside in Bernardo, isn't there? JP says, will Forest AFCON absentees be big versus Arsenal? Saka to KDB worth it? Yeah, this is the one that was pulling in me. You might remember I'd said last week that I would know when I came out of White Lane whether I was kind of buying KDB or not. And there's nothing I saw in those 20 minutes that he was on the pitch to put me off. He absolutely should have scored. He missed a sitter, basically, which he'd normally score with his eyes closed. But I was always reluctant about that. It's thinking about long term rather than the short term. And looking at Arsenal's fixtures up to 29, even if they don't play in that game week, and going, there's every chance I do want some of it. Plus this week particularly, do I want to sell when he's going to a Forest team that are under strength, basically, at the moment? And the answer is no, I didn't really want to get rid, and that was part of my conclusion. And it's not that I might not come back and look at selling Saka again, maybe even at the weekend. That's not my plan, by the way. My intention would be to keep him as it stands at the moment, but he might have to be a sacrifice if I decided, oh shit, I do need to get KDB, or if I want to force in like Jotas and Tonys and stuff like that. And that's a higher possibility that I may want to do that. So options open. I've dealt with what I think was the first biggest problem was, get the big robot back in. Saka I didn't want to sell this week, personally. Austin Laley says, start Garnacho or Saliba. Tight one. Slight edge for the Arsenal defender. JP says, thoughts on Oscar Bob. Do you think he'll eventually break into the City team? Impressed. Looks a good player. I was really impressed with him. Came on against Newcastle. Looks an intelligent player at Tottenham last week as well. So, look, I think he's going to be first choice for the rest of the season. No, longer term, could he become a City mainstay? Yeah, sure, he's young. Paul Lewis says, evening, James. Thanks for the stream. As always, you're very welcome. Zaris says, is Stupinan for Gabriel? Or you think he plays? Greetings from Greece. Miss you, my friend. Yeah. Again, on that podcast this morning, I spoke quite a bit about defensive options, and Stupinan would have been kind of top of the agenda. It might have been that I went for Van Heck, actually, for financial reasons. But yeah, I think Gabriel thinks he'll play. I spoke to Clayton as well, who's obviously an Arsenal fan. He very much thinks he and Declan Rice will both play tonight. It's 5 days till Liverpool. So yeah, I would expect Gabriel to play. Also helped me a little bit, not that I want him to play, but the fact that I know Gusto is going to travel to Anfield means that I've at least got something coming in if he doesn't make it. Not that I'd want to see it, but that kind of helps edge the decision for me personally. Yes, I expect Gabriel to play, so no, I wouldn't sell him at the moment. Who's next? LP says, hi James, 2 options for Haaland in. Sell Darwin to Haaland and Salah to Jota, or Semenyo to Haaland and Salah as 6.1 mid or lower. Gordon/Neto, what do you think? Cheers. Again, there's another conversation which I was having with a few of my patrons, not wanting to sell Darwin Núñez at the moment. It's like you come to this point, it's a decent fixture this week. 23 doesn't look brilliant, but we've still got to work on the basis at the moment that there's a high probability this Luton game's going into game week 25, and do you not want to potentially just get him back, particularly if Salah is not available by then, which we don't have the information on at this second in time. So yeah, I think I'd probably come down to a lower one, to be honest. I'm just trying to think. Neto's not a terrible one. Covers 26 quite nicely. Gordon's few fixtures are nice after this one. 26 isn't brilliant. That's so that you got the opposite there with those 2 players. I'd be tempted with Garnacho. Covers 26 quite nicely. I think it's an easier one to bench, but that's subject with the rest of your squad, basically. I prefer the option, I think, of the cheaper midfielder. Wouldn't go. I've got Leon Bailey. I wouldn't go there at this moment in time, personally. I'm not even convinced that Bailey starts. But again, I think Villa win well, and I think I'd slap myself if I didn't start him this week. More than, okay, fine. Palmer does well at Liverpool. He does well at Liverpool. MRCX says, hi Jimbo, hope you and the family are well. I have a free transfer, no idea who to get. KDB, Jota, Richarlison, Haaland even. Yeah, Haaland. Yeah. I think the priority, as I said yesterday, Manchester City first. So I think Haaland. What's the worst thing that happens here with Haaland? The worst thing that happens here is he comes on as a sub and returns a 1-pointer, right? And then he's ready for Monday and everyone else goes and buys him for Monday. That's the worst thing that happens, right? You're going to want to go there, I think. So, yeah, Haaland for me, mate. Aaron Hill says, bit of a random question. Do you think the potential sign of Adam Wharton to Palace will affect the minutes of Chris Richards in the short to mid-term? I have my eyes on him at a 3.9 as an enabling defender. So, Richards has been playing this kind of holding anchor role. He played in a back 5 as a right-sided centre-back at Arsenal. Will probably go back into a central midfield role this evening. The honest answer is I've not seen enough of Wharton to give you an honest answer, Aaron, I'm afraid to say. Apologies. I would go and seek out someone who watches a lot of Championship football, like ask the guys at EFL podcast, Dan Ashby, Angus McPhail, Jamie Roberts. Ask someone like that who would have more of an... Or find yourself a Blackburn fan, even. I haven't seen enough of the lad play to be able to tell you what that impact is. So I've got to be honest, Aaron. Any answer I gave you would just be bullshitting. My instinct on that would be to say probably yes, but I don't truly know the answer. Sicilian FPL says, if Son gets knocked out in the game going on now, how safe would you say Richarlison minutes are for the next 3 games, or should it have little impact? It should be alright. It's half hour to go. South Korea are losing. I think you should be alright with Richarlison, primarily because the wingers look so weak at the moment. But Kulusevski, hopefully now Maddison's back, will go back out wide on the right. And then you would guess probably that Son comes back in for Werner. That would be the assumption. Might even be that Son would maybe just be a substitute at Everton at the weekend. So I think it's something that would need monitoring. And I think because he blanks in 26, you may want to go for someone like a Jota at a similar-ish price, a bit more I recognise, that you can get in with the double in mind. So I think you need to keep an eye on it, but but you should be okay at the moment, mate. Hasselbank's win says, hi, James. Which team did you prefer watching last few years? Pep's City or Klopp's Liverpool? Oh, that's not easy to, because there's different reasons for both, right? They don't play the same. I think probably Liverpool, just because it was, even at their best, there was more vulnerability to them than Guardiola's City at their best. City's controls unparalleled. I see that firsthand Friday. They're phenomenal in terms of the work without the ball. Ridiculous how they stopped us playing. So good. Whereas you always knew you'd have a chance against Klopp's Liverpool, and I think therefore it made games for neutral a little bit better more often. So possibly that, but it doesn't mean one was better than the other or vice versa. They're both very enjoyable for different reasons. I mean, when Pep's City purr and they're right at it, you think, go and kill teams, like batter them, destroy them. You really do sometimes if you're a neutral. Steve says, hi James, I don't want to burn a transfer, so thinking swapping out my Burnley defender for a Palace or Wolves one, needing for Gameweek 26 and Gameweek 28 thoughts. So Palace, 2 good fixtures there. 2 good fixtures for Wolves as well. Neither's hugely likely to play in 29 as it stands. Both would be very doubtful. Yeah, I mean, if you look for 26, 28 specifically, those two look perfectly reasonable, but I'd also throw Brighton into that mix as well, and even say, look, if you go for a Van Heck, Fulham at home and Everton at home, Everton at home and Nottingham Forest at home, then you're saving quite a bit of money. I know there's a bit more risk in Van Heck in terms of minutes, but he started, 9 or 10 in a row in the Premier League. I think... So Wolves, Sheffield United, Fulham, Palace, Burnley and Luton. Ooh, it's close, that. I would maybe have a slight preference for a Wolves badge. Just a better team. Probably Dawson's the one with a goal threat. But Ait-Nouri's back. That's possibly an attractive one that might appeal. Palace don't have anyone like that. So I think just the Wolves player, but also consider, would that money for Van Heck be more useful for you, or can you not afford to take the risk? K1 says, captaincy to Kudos, Bowen, KDB or Foden. My preferences are on the screen, mate, to the left of me. Paul Lewis says, would you sell Bowen or Saka, and would you buy Foden or KDB, or just roll with the two former? I mean, if I didn't have either, I would be prioritising getting Foden still, personally, because the value equated to that. So, I think timing-wise, it would maybe feel a little bit better to get rid of Bowen. But I wouldn't be keen on selling either. My intentions would probably be to keep. I realise I'm possibly going to have to make that own decision myself at some point in the next couple of weeks. I think, yeah, if I had to, Foden, slight preference in for Bowen. James Wilson says, hey, James, need to bench one of Douglas Luiz, Palmer, Solanke, Bowen, not Bowen, to contradict the last question. They're all on the bench in dilemmas. Is probably Douglas Luiz. Yeah, looks it is. Yeah, Ian Quinn, Haaland for the armband. That's the intention, Ian. Sean says a bench in dilemma, James, that I will delete if already covered. Start Palmer or Gross. Well, they're both there, mate, and I've got Palmer above Gross, so there's your answer. MRCX says keep Moreno for the long run or downgrade to a cheaper defender. I wouldn't sell Moreno at this minute in time. Newcastle at home, highly likely to start. Sheffield United away. Good longer term fixtures. Yes, Luka Dean's going to be coming back, but if Moreno plays well, he'll stay in the team, I think. So I'd be keeping that. Moreno was one I would have considered for buying this week rather than selling. Frankie says, James, should I bring in my target Jota if it means having to bench Palmer or Solanke/Watkins? Wouldn't bench Watkins. The person chasing me in my mini league has Jota and got his 19-pointer. Cheers, mate. So you want to get Jota in. I mean, just look on the face of it and just take a step back. Who's the better player for you this week? Is it Jota or Palmer? And listen, I've sat here 2 different deadline streams and they played Sheffield United at home and Luton away. And there were so many benching dilemmas that week. And I said to a lot of people, from what you've got, it's got to be Palmer, unfortunately. Now, if I go back and ask those questions again, I'll probably give you different answers in fairness. But it's not Sheffield United at home or Luton away. It's Liverpool away. Got the best defensive record in the league. It doesn't mean he can't return tonight. It's perfectly reasonable. Majority of people start him. I get that. He's on pens, all those things. But Jota, you'd rather have Jota, wouldn't you? Yeah, get him in. Simon Kurtz says, do you think Kovacic is the first team player for City now? Seems to have more control with him, Rodri and Bernardo, and his passing stats versus Spurs were second to none. I didn't look at the data, to be honest, afterwards. But yeah, he very much impressed. He's a player I really admire, even when he played for Chelsea. I used to speak about him a lot in terms of how much I rated him as a footballer. I think, and I've spoken about this quite a bit, there's something happening with City at the moment with the fullbacks where they're playing far more advanced. That negates the need for City to have 2 sixes, basically, Rodri and Kovacic. Bernardo Silva can also play the role. But say in the Newcastle game, there were times where Bernardo Silva went and joined them and they played as a flat midfield 3 and the wingers joined City's attacking 5. Later in the game, that manoeuvred where when Bob came on, he moved in, Gvardiol went higher, Walker moved inside. So the answer is at the moment, yes, but the situation is changing. It's not just like the Haaland's back fit and how City play to that, and importantly how City play off the ball, right? City wouldn't have played as well without the ball against Tottenham on Friday if Haaland had played. I mean that seriously. It doesn't mean City wouldn't have won 3 or 4-0, but I'm telling you, without the ball, they wouldn't have been as good. They worked so hard off the ball, and it's not that he doesn't work hard, he just can't or doesn't do it in the same way. What really concerns me in terms of that, if it's relatable to a fantasy question, is John Stones' return is now potentially going to have a complete impact in terms of the way City play. Now, it might be that they're playing so well in this system at the moment that Stones just plays as the more auxiliary centre-back, or perhaps even threatens Kyle Walker's minutes. It might even be a different way of looking at it as a kind of right-back that pushes on and also tucks into midfield on occasion. So I think we can spin these narratives. Right now, Kovacic is playing really well. I also think Phil Foden is playing too well to be dropped at the moment. But City have got all their players fit, and they're about to soon walk into a period where there's a double game week, Champions League restarts, they've got an FA Cup 5th round game in the midweek. Suddenly, they're going to go from, it's been nice, one game every week or so, or one game every 5 days, to it chops, bang, Saturday, Wednesday, or Saturday, Tuesday. And therefore, we're going to get players get rotated. Mateo Kovacic is not going to start all the games for City. Do I think he's first choice at the moment? Yes, but would I even be shocked if he's not in the team tomorrow? No, I wouldn't be. Zaris says, if I buy a Haaland, who should I drop? Archer, Watkins, Darwin, long-term move. Hit the like button and subscribe. Long time no see. Yes, we've got roughly about 12% of you have hit the like button so far. Good sort of 800 or so of you in. Come on, guys, don't cost anything. All helps spread the Planet FPL love. Personal opinion on that would be just bin Archer, mate. I wouldn't want to get rid of either of the other two at the moment. Just, you need to factor in how does that affect future moves, because it might leave you tight financially. Paul Lewis says, is it worth a -4 to bring Haaland in for Watkins? I'm going to go no. Neil Kager says, hi all, taking my work break for this. Thank you, Neil. Hope all's well. Thanks for the continued share and love. It's appreciated, mate. Rene Rocher says, bench 1, Watkins, Darwin, Solanke. With reluctance, Solanke. Tom Sleeman says, I'm on wildcard this week. Thoughts on Hinshelwood and Van Heck? Hinshelwood, no. He's never a player you'd start. Van Heck would be more useful from that perspective. So, yeah, it might be Hinshelwood as a player who's regularly playing as a kind of a 5th midfielder at the moment. But they 26-7 at home. It's not terrible. But remember, their European football starts the midweek afterwards. I think you walk into trouble. So Hinshelwood a no for me at the moment. Good player though. I was very impressed with him when I went to see Tottenham play there at the end of December. Justin Dice says, afternoon James, good luck this game week. Everyone please smash the like and subscribe button for the awesome free content. And remember, if you want the paid content, you can subscribe and support the show at www.patreon.com/planetfpl, where you can get additional content. Or if you want to support the show, that's the place just to do it. Because you think, I want to give thanks for the free content, like the chip strategy pod yesterday and this stuff. Birth Media says, waiting for the day James will be early. Never, mate. I'd probably get a lot more followers and likes and people viewing, but it's me and I'm on James time, mate. The only thing I'm ever on time for is work and Tottenham. Gay first bench. Rest of the benches, Hwang and Taylor. Can I bank the transfer? Gay first bench. I mean, well, that seems pretty good next week. This week it's a first sub, mate. I'm at Sheffield United. Yeah, I think you're fine. Like, I don't want to see Gusto or Pau Torres this week, do I? And I know Gabriel's doubts, and I'm running with it. Ilan Melchior says, hi, James. Which one of Trippier, Gabriel, and Aki would you bench? Gabriel, with reluctance. Just, you know what trips can be, right? Patrick Lawson says Saka, Alvarez and Watkins out for KDB. Haaland and João Pedro worth a -8. Ugh. You could be selling a player there, playing away to Nottingham Forest, at home to Burnley, and against the second worst away team in the league at the moment, which is Newcastle. I would not be doing that personally. JP says, your Sky captains, James. Woof. Well, the benefit of that is obviously tomorrow night we'll see if KDB plays or not. Not KDB, Haaland. KDB relative as well. I mean, the intention is probably to buy both tomorrow night, and then it's preference from there based on the team. Be a City player. I've got Foden and Rodri as well. So be a City player. Tonight, Watkins. Yeah, Watkins for me tonight. Thursday, I've only got Areola, I think. Yeah, I think it's just Areola. I'm all right with that. Atul says, hi James, sorry for the long one. Bench 2 of Pedro Porro, Pedro Neto, Gordon, Solanke, Palmer, Estupina. You ain't going to want to bench Neto, mate. You're a Wolves fan. I've seen a few about benching Porro. Tell me who your 3 defenders are that are better than Porro this week, mate. Reluctantly, with what you've got there, Estupinan and Gordon, I think. Zayn Ali says, hi James, what do you think of the expected minutes of Foden and Alvarez this week? Absolutely crazy that Foden is 3rd most sold this game week. Is he? Blimey. Didn't know that. I don't know about everyone else, but I kind of, other than the strategy stuff, I've really switched off of what people have been doing in terms of moves and who's been brought in and who hasn't. I couldn't tell you if my players have gone up or down in price. I genuinely wouldn't have a clue. Expected minutes. I've not got Alvarez in the predicted lineup. I've got Haaland in it, right? So let's say 45 Alvarez. Let's say 70 Foden. I'm pissing in the wind and guessing there, aren't I? Neil Kager says, come on, folks, hit the like. You took the time already to ask a question. Takes a millisecond to show your appreciation. Thank you very much, Neil. That's up to about 20% of you so of smash the like. Zaris says, will Lascelles play soon? Is he a first choice if he's fit? No, he's not first choice, mate. He's doubtful tonight, and he's not first choice anyway, mate. Charlie 11575NCRE48EPRS says, hi James, would you bench Palmer, Solanke or João Pedro? Thanks and good luck. That's Palmer for me, mate. James Brennan, you people are in a good position if you're benching João Pedro this week or considering it. James Brennan says, hi James, would you bench boost Dubravka, VVD, Palmer and Tony? Have Haaland in the team if that changed your mind. Thanks so much. Jeez. Now, that one I mentioned yesterday with Dan on the podcast, one of our patrons, like he didn't have anything like that you looked at and went, you're a minute's concerned now. Let's be realistic about this. I'm saying in my predicted lineup, Haaland plays. My confidence in that is low. Less than 60%, maybe a bit more than 50%, but I've gone for it, right? But we know from bench for City, he didn't get on, right? And maybe City are 3 or 4-0 up and he goes, I'm going to leave you till Monday. And you'd be sick if you bench boosted with that. I don't think I could do it, mate. On that alone, I don't think I could do it. Also, are you not going to have some fixtures there that's going to be better for said 4 players? I know I can't see the rest of your 11. But if your bench is looking that strong this week, I bet there's a better week to do it. I'll tell you what, if you start cutting Palmer and Chelsea, you might find that it's game week 25, mate. Anton Phillips says, which City defender would you bring in this week? Brutal. I thought about this a lot. I don't know the answer. Because you think Aki's a good goal scoring threat. And I think if City alter the way they play with Stones coming back, Aki might suddenly get favouritism over Gvardiol. Gvardiol's position has been really interesting. Walker's position has been really interesting. If Stones impacts that, those players all become way less appealing. Ruben Diaz, you think, well, that's probably a bit of a lock, but it's quite expensive without knowing it's a lock. And Stones' return is going to impact all of that as well. And we don't even factor in things like Pep going, I'm going to play Rico Lewis and the inverted fullback and stuff like that. And the Akanji's fit as well. Like, I tell you what, if you're doing it now because you want a City doubler in 25, good luck getting the one that plays twice. If that's what's most important to you, the best advice I can give you is buy Kyle Walker. That's the most likely to play twice as it stands. Atul says, busy stream this one. Smash the like button, everyone. Thank you, Atul. Prania says, who to buy for Salah? Jota or Richarlison? Have got Saka, Palmer, Foden, Gordon. Jota for me, mate. Yeah, I think, look, Richarlison looks a little bit better this week. Like, if I had the two and had to captain one, I'd back Richie this week on that basis. But the factor in that Tottenham have got the blank 26, as do Liverpool, but Liverpool probably got the double before that. Yeah, it'd be into Liverpool now, unless you want to go Richarlison for a couple and then chain it on to Jota. But has anyone got the luxury to do that sort of thing at the moment? Patrick Lawson says, best sub 6 million forward long term. Cunha, Pedro, Jimenez. Yeah, Jimenez I've got my eye on a little bit. Might be the one that falls into place for me. I mean, Pedro I'd certainly be keeping an eye on as well. It might be that, yeah, you know, as much as I don't want to sell Watkins now, it might be reluctantly that I have to go, okay, I'm going to cut Watkins to something like that, or cut Alvarez to that in the next couple of weeks as well. So I have my eyes on forwards in that bracket. I think probably because of Wolves' away fixtures, the other two appeal a little bit more for me at the moment, plus the impact of Hwang potentially coming back. That said, with Pedro, eventually you're going to have a Dingra back, with Toma back. Ansu Fati, we think, is going to be fit for this weekend. Julio and Sisso, we think, might be back at some point towards the end of next month as well. The safer one for the longer term play, and you know has got the Gameweek 29 fixture, is Jimenez. Panos says, hi James, would you prioritise Man City defender or KDB this week? Between defenders, what do you think about Gvardiol? Money's an issue. I kind of just covered the City defenders, so I won't repeat on that, and therefore the preference at the moment would be to get the City offensive players. Sam Emerson says, evening mate, and thanks for the content the last few weeks to cure FPL boredom. Thoughts on Eze as an option now? His mate Elise is back, high chance for blank in 29, mind you. More of a problem than that, mate, would be Palace's fixtures. So the example given earlier where someone was looking for a Palace defender for 26-28, yeah, sure, great. But after this week, it's Brighton away, Chelsea at home, Everton away. You got Tottenham away a couple after that. Now, I think there's better options knocking about at the moment considering those fixtures. And they're not inspiring any confidence, right? I think I'd want to see something in them first. And actually, to be honest with you, with Elise back, if I was to invest in one, not this week, because there's enough doubt that he doesn't start tonight, and I think he probably doesn't actually. But when they're both available, I'd probably prefer Elise. So a no for me, to be honest. MRCX says, which three players for a triple City lineup? Well, the best three is probably going to be Foden, De Bruyne and Haaland, isn't it? Probably. That's easier said than done. Rishi says, Haaland 20 minutes off the bench or start Gordon. Oh, if you've got Haaland, you've got to start him. If you've got him, you've got to. You've got, as a minimum, you've got to. You've got to. You've got to. I think if you told me he was going to get 10 minutes at the end, I know this would go against all models and stuff. If you told me he was going to get 10 minutes at the end, possibly Haaland, mate. Ben Costin says, hey, mate, would you swap Foden for KDB to captain for free? No. We already have City goalkeeper. Oh, we've got an Edison owner. And Alvarez. I mean, that's the solution to the defensive headache. Wait till Ortega plays against Brentford in 25. Already have City goalkeeper and Alvarez. Should I just stick with Foden and captain him? Yeah, stick, mate. Yeah, stick. Project FPL, bench one, Trent, Porro, Gabriel. Got to be Gabriel from that. Ben Edinson says, am I overthinking you'd start out of Richarlison and Gordon? Richarlison, right. Yep, you'll know the answer, mate. Martin Hewitt says, hi, James. Top content this week, as always. Boring question, but would you prefer to bring Haaland in for Solanke for free or for Archer for -4? Cheers, mate, and up the borough. The answer to that, Martin, which borough? The answer to that, Martin, is it depends on your other moves, right? I don't mean now, right? What's your plan? I could say to you, yeah, sure. Get Haaland in for Solanke, and you've got more money available. Or I could say get Haaland in for Archer. On the face of it, seems like the right move. But then you might get there and shit, now I can't buy Jota or Nunes or whatever whatever you've got planned, right? So the answer isn't just straightforward for that. It's, what's your plan, right? Get yourself on FPL team and start working forward through a plan, and you'll find your answer there. I think on the face of it, I've got to say Archer, haven't I? FPL Gold Galazzo says, good evening, FPL Top Advisor. Have a great game week. Smash the like button, you mugs. Victor Sandberg says, replace Saka or Salah with KDB. Salah's a go for me at this stage. By the way, South Korea still losing 1-0 with 10 minutes to go in Saudi Arabia, and Mali are 1-up against Burkina Faso. That was a 5 o'clock kickoff. There's 10 minutes to go in that Saudi Arabia South Korea game. Saudi Arabia still lead by a 1-0. So obviously, you know, Hwang unlikely. I mean, Hwang could even be available on Thursday, I guess. It's not completely improbable you might get a sub appearance there. Son wouldn't be involved tomorrow, but could be on Saturday. So look, Son Hwang, as it stands, I think there's every chance to be involved in 23. That's you got someone like Son coming back into the game with no ownership. You need to have your eyes on that, I think. Sell Salah for me, Victor. Rishi says, bring Haaland in for his likely 20-25 minutes or roll the transfer. So we're assuming on minutes here. This is it. You think 20-25... To be honest, you think he gets 20-25 minutes. Realistically, you probably don't buy him. But also, you are buying him next week, if that's what it is. So what you selling for it, mate? Arash says, hi, James. Transferred this week and have Watkins and Alvarez as well. Between Alvarez and Watkins, who would you transfer out to find funds for Salah? I've cut myself off of Salah at the moment. My outlook on Salah at the moment is if he's not going to be back and confirmed for 25, then he's a leave. If he's back in a position where it's like, oh my God, he's back for Burnley in 24, I'll rip shit up and get him in. Which is why, by the way, I'd really, really like to roll in Gameweek 23. But at the moment, I've cut him off. I've cut him out of my plan now, personally. And I recommend, to be honest, at the moment, that you either cut him off or work out what the -4 is to get him back. For me, it's like, right, I've got 1.9 in the bank. Should I have to go there? I'm probably going to have to cut like Saka and Watkins, aren't I? Like Watkins down to a proper enabling forward and Saka up the Salah. That's the sort of thing I'll have to do. But at the moment, I'm kind of rolling with the idea of not. I wouldn't make the transfer based on that at the moment. I wouldn't want to sell either this week. That's part why I haven't. David James Whiteway says, rumours that Ledley King hasn't trained James. Ledley never trained, mate, and was still man of the match most weeks. Hugo Smith says, hi, James. Which one to bench out, Saliba, Palmer, Gross, or Solanke? I'm going to say Saliba. Pranaya says, take a hit for Haaland and wait for next week. We've covered this. Thank you, Adam English, for that nice update that I spotted earlier. James says, why Palmer over Gordon on bench in dilemma? Why not? Why not? One's on penalties. And that same player isn't playing away to the team that's got the best home record in the league, which is Aston Villa, not Liverpool. Super Sam Play says, hi James, love the show. Thoughts on Garnacho as an enabler until game week 30, 31 wildcard if I'm selling Salah? Yeah, he's in my thoughts as a possible for me if I need to find that sort of money. Adam says, predict the one fixture that will have the biggest surprise results this game week. Do we consider Wolves beating Man United as a surprise? I mean, the predictions are on the screen, right? So, Bournemouth to draw at West Ham, maybe something. You know me, if I fancy something for a shock, I'll put it up there. I'm not bothered about doing that, but I don't really see too many. Man United losing at Wolves doesn't feel like a huge shock, right? Super plays, I've done that. Arash says, James, who would you bench between Gabriel, Moreno, Estupiñán? Gabriel, I think. Alistair Hargraves have covered, mate. Will Shaw says, hey James, how do you think Liverpool line up when everyone is fit? What happens to Jota when Salah returns? Rotation, mate. Rotation. There isn't a first choice team at Liverpool, I don't think. I don't think there is. I think you'd argue on form at the moment, if you were dropping Salah into that, maybe it's Jota through the middle and Diaz on the left. Maybe it's Jota through the middle, Nunes on the left. You'll get rotation, right? It's easy to forget about Gakpo, and Harvey Elliott can play right-sided forward. I think Szoboszlai could at a push as well. So there's loads of options. You're not going to get the same Liverpool team every week, particularly when these European fixtures start back up after game week 27. Hugo Smith says, hi James, if I were to get Haaland this week, which two out of Saliba, Palmer, Gross, Solanke would you bench? Saliba and checks notes. Gross. Dreaming FPL says, hi, benching dilemma, bench one of Gabriel Estupiñán, bench. These guys are all on the benching dilemmas, guys. Please do have a look at the graphic that's below me that's spinning round. It runs in order, pages 1 to 4, then his keepers on 5. All of these players, a lot of these questions, the players are on these benching dilemmas, so the answer to your questions are there. I would play Estupiñán and I would bench from that Gordon. Ollie Smith says, Alvarez, Watkins and Darwin, sell one for Haaland or roll. Christ. Here's my take. What's worse? You seeing the team tomorrow and Haaland's in it and you haven't bought him, or you sell Alvarez for him and Alvarez does well. I really didn't want to sell Alvarez with not enough confidence this week. That's why I took the decision I made. I would not be selling Núñez at the moment, I don't think. I say that with a strategic head on. If you look at the fixtures for now and 23, the right answer there is to sell Núñez. I wouldn't want to be doing it. Joshua Webster says, thoughts on Bowen captaincy? Thanks. He's not in my top 10, mate. I think, look, could he do well? Of course, right? It's Jared Bowen. I'm pleased that I own him. It's absolutely perfectly fine. Without Paqueta's creativity, less keen. South Korea are certainly putting heavy pressure on, judging by the graphic on SofaScore at the moment. Michael O'Hare says, appreciate all the work and the Planet FPL guys do. Thank you. Hope you have a good game week. Smash a like. Cheers, Michael. Thank you. Vinil says, hi, James. Would you play Jesus or Bailey this week? I mean, Jesus. Yeah. Super Sam says, would have to sell Watkins to buy Haaland to enable other moves. Would rather Watkins over Haaland in 22. So if I didn't buy him this week, probably wouldn't be until 23. Should have just do it. We want to go sell Watkins when he goes to Sheffield United 23. And I realise we all trod that captaincy path, but actually away from home might be better for him. So you're going to make that move in 23 as well. Look, I think this comes down to gut feel. I really do. People want me to sit here and give some science on. I think Haaland's going to play 75 minutes because this, that and the other. I don't know. I've done what I've done. I think many of you with Haaland here need to go on gut feel. Joe Lowe says, go home or go big. My armband on Haaland. Isn't FPL all about fun? Yes, mate. By the way, to our patrons, if we've got any team info that's knocking about, whether it's Manchester City or obviously particularly Arsenal stuff, with them being the early kickoff, please drop me a DM on Slack and I will share if it's a good source with the guys on the stream. Meninda says, he's planning for triple City attack okay and ignoring Salah given the expected fixtures covered, and yes. Issa says, if Gabriel is injured, would you look into getting Porro or a City defender? Which one, considering they've got a double game week? Can you stomach the Porro blank in 26? If so, that would still be my preference. Yeah, it still would be at this moment in time, but I think Gabriel will play, mate. Alistair says, who to bench for Trent, Saliba, Solanke or Garnacho? Dreaming FPL, I'm 600. Want to go risky with Darwin over KDB and Foden. Think he may not get an opportunity to push. You've answered your own question, mate. Joey Shakespeare says, based on FPL main row's tweet, do you think the ITKs already know if the City lineup for tomorrow? I don't know, but I know interaction is good. Apparently Andy has said on Let's Talk FPL on his stream that Gabriel starts. We know Andy's obviously reliable. Andy, if you're watching me while you're streaming, I don't know where you are, but cheers, buddy. Thank you as always for your brilliant content. To Andy, Let's Talk FPL is saying Gabriel starts. Thank you very much for that, Sam. Much appreciated. FPL newsletter are saying they believe Haaland does not start tomorrow. Now, they had one recently that was wrong, weren't they? But they have been right on every other occasion. They're saying, conveniently 20 minutes before deadline, that they believe Haaland does not start tomorrow. All right, cool. Take that information with what you want, guys. I don't intend to do anything with it. Joey says, Ashik says, KDB or Richie, who were you captain from that? And with that, probably KDB. I'd be gambling a City player. Daniel Hazlitt says, hi James, big dilemmas this week. Do I get rid of Archer or another forward? João Pedro maybe. Or dish a midfielder, probably Palmer or Jota or Foden. Only one free transfer, nightmare. Get rid of Archer. Yeah. Homegrown FPL, hi James, bench one of Saliba, Gabriel or Anderson. I'd have way more trust in Arsenal. Andy at Let's Talk has said that Gabriel is starting. Ulrich says, buy Stupinan or Walker this week and why? If I'd have had to go there, it would have been Estupinan for reasons explained earlier on Manchester City defensive assets currently. Janko says, start Palmer or Garnacho. Palmer. Lacer says, what do you prefer? Archer to Haaland and Saliba to Gusto and benched for a -4 or Solanke to Haaland for free. Solanke to Haaland for free. Lee Sherwood says, Haaland for a -4 means I bench Palmer and captain him, or no -4, cap Saka and play Palmer. Look, I don't know if that lazy FPL information potentially changes your thinking there, Lee. So you're going to be like me. You're on gut here, pal. Dave Brown says, hi, James. If no bench, what would you do with Gabriel? Just go with it and roll or make a move for Estupinan. If no... Gabriel, mate. William White, percentage on Foden start, 80. Hanny says, hi, James. Who would you play from Palmer and Gross? Guys, the benching dilemmas, please have a look, guys. Ollie Kitson says, would you start Leno at home to Everton or Ariel at home to Bournemouth? Also on the benching dilemmas on page 5 of 5. Super Sam says, anyone else experiencing FPL team issues? Yeah, there's probably a lot of people using it because I just told everyone to go and use it. Lee says, you say worst case is Haaland gets 1 point. I'd argue the worst case is a setback or a new injury after not playing so long. Or that, yeah, sure. Actually, the dog says, James needs to captain Alvarez, Foden or KDB. Want to go KDB, but not sure I've got the minerals thoughts. Again, you've answered your own question. You've said what you want to do. Do what you want to do. Aishwarya says, hi, James. Just was hoping for positive news by Pep for Haaland. So transferred him for Solanke. And Salah to Bernardo Silva for a -4. Triple City. Captain Haaland, best of luck, everyone. Kevin Holmes says, Udogi to Estupinan or roll. That's a roll. Dragan says, best midfielder neighbour, 5 million or less. Not named Garnacho. Needs to play Gameweek 26. Cheers. Tommy Doyle is worth a look, but João Gomez is back from suspension. That's potentially going to possibly put a bit of a spanner in the works there. It's that. If it's not Garnacho, it's that. I think. Tommy Doyle with Wolves. Looking at the fixtures that are available that week. But it's not a lot there, mate. It's the reality. So, does it matter? LH says there's a case there just to go, right, come down or something. Doyle will get minutes if he's fit. Let's put it that way. But it might be a 1-pointer. LH says, James, would you sell Livramento for Estupinan, Walker and Son for KDB or just the one? I mean, it depends a lot on the rest of your makeup. Like, can you absorb a Livramento benching this week and reassess? You got to think he's not in Newcastle's best 11. Even I've got him predicted in the front three in the Newcastle lineup that's going round on screen because I don't think Almiron plays tonight. And I think that because of who they're playing, they might just do that. I think he'll have a heavy defensive role, by the way. I wouldn't get too excited about that. I think it's probably sell Livramento. I mean, Sonny could be back for you at the weekend, right? The 94th minute is still 1-0 to Saudi Arabia. There's every chance Sonny's back. There is 10 minutes added on in that, but we're 4 minutes into it. Sonny might be back in game week 23. That game might not finish by the deadline. Paul Jones says, hi, James. Would you sell Salah to Jota or Richarlison this week? Have Foden and Alvarez already? Again, like, I think, what can you absorb in future weeks? How good does the rest of your team look? If it was me, I think I'd be going Jota, mate. Kenneth Faz says, thinking of going Gabriel to Dallo. Am I mad? I wouldn't be doing that, Kenneth. Heather says, hey, James, would you start Konate or Branthwaite? Home advantage, Liverpool, Konate, mate. Aditor, there are a couple of Blackburn patrons. If the person who asked about Wharton was a patron, if you're not, come join up. You won't regret it. It's true. We do have a number of Blackburn Rovers patrons, actually. Roshan Gamiri says, hello, sir. What is your opinion with Alisson in game week 24? Just to count a double game week in game week 26 with Alisson reducing outfield player blank. I mentioned this with Dan on the pod we released earlier today about, double Liverpool defensive if the double happens being kind of a really nice differential possibly. Again, if you're paying for Alisson, you're spending probably circa $1 million more on your goalkeepers than other people. So what are you countering that with in terms of your outfield players? Your team value might be incredible. Personally, not massively keen on that. I'd also factor in that in 25 specifically, Newcastle at home to Bournemouth and West Ham go to Forest. If you're on either of the Bravco or Areola, it's reasonable. Demetrius says, would you play Gordon or Palmer? Again, it's on the screen right in front of you, mate. Have a look, please. D-Taff says, hi, James. Is Bowen not a captaincy consideration? You obviously think so that's fine. I'd be concerned enough about the creativity of that Packard personally. Harry says, who did he transfer out for Haaland? He transferred out Dominic Solanke. Sriram says, start Leno or Areola. Leno for me, pal. Tim Johnson says, hi, James. Start Brennan Johnson. Just on that, though, Sriram, obviously, Areola's a monster, and if you're affected by that, consider it. Tim Johnson says, hi, James. Start Brennan Johnson or Palmer. Palmer, mate. I haven't got Johnson in my predicted Tottenham lineup for this week. I'm personally hoping that Kulusevski goes back to the right tomorrow. There is a personal in that, but yeah, I think Werner's more likely to play than Johnson. Sean Limbrick says, South Korea, currently losing. Think there's any chance Sonny plays Saturday if they're not losing? Yeah, of course there is. It's Tuesday. We don't play till Saturday. Of course there's a chance. He's captain of the football club. And I think he feels guilty enough that he's not there. So I think he'll be making himself available. Whether Ange thinks he's in the right condition to play, etc., that'll be up to Ange. But I would expect him to be in the squad. If this result sticks, and it's still 1-0. Andrew Sands says, good time for a non-FPL question. Name all the numbers on the dartboard clockwise, starting with 20. 21, 18. Can't bother with the rest. Just seemed jazz. We're about 5 minutes to deadline, guys, so be getting yourselves locked in. I've seen that lazy FPL information. It's probably right. I've committed to what I'm doing. I can obviously change the captaincy should I want to. I'm not going to. I'm going to leave it on Haaland. Jassim says Salah to Jota, Archer to Haaland, -4. It's not that I doubt them, by the way. It's just I'm sticking with my gut here. Salah to Jota, Archer to Haaland, -4, or wait for next week. The information right now would probably suggest wait. Jasper says, hi James, would you start Martinelli over Palmer and Solanke? At the moment I'm starting Martinelli and Solanke, Palmer bench, but saw Clayton predicting Martinelli benching. Yeah, he did, yeah. He thinks Trossard will start. I think Martinelli will start. He knows more about his team than I do. So you should probably take his advice. Andrew Sands says, evening James, how likely is that Suj will forget the deadline? None, because I messaged him earlier and he said he'd done it. Magnifique says, Gordon or Garnacho? Gordon. Dan Zelos says, hey James, if you were a developer at FPL, would you change or add any chips? And do you prefer the transfer structure of Sky FF or FPL? The two different games, I'm happy with how both games are. They're different games. Like I don't want one to be like the other and the two games to be the same. So I'm perfectly happy with how the games are. Andrew Sands says, yeah, got that, mate. Brendan O'Brien, Trippier, Saliba to start. Trips, little bit of benefit there. Dan Trosdale says, Salah to Jota, already have Foden, roll a single transfer. I'd get that done. Brendan says, cheers for the content your podcast for a staple of my week. Thank you, Brendan. Again, patrons, we got anything extra? Andy's tweeted, De Bruyne starts, Haaland benched. Presumably based off this tweet anyway. That's from FPL Tony that thinks KDB could be better picked than Haaland for this week. I'm going to move to captaincy. That's too many various sources now that don't think he'll start. I've obviously committed to the transfer. He's in. I'm going Foden captain. I'm going Foden captain and leave the vice on Watkins. Haaland stays in the team. I'm still starting him. I'm not taking him out of the team. Captaincy changed to Foden. Watkins vice. That with FPL Tony was the one who really, really broke the news before, right, on City. So that's okay, ignore one source potentially. Ignore two. Maybe you're just being foolish there, James. So I've changed the captaincy to it's on Phil Foden, which was, and I think this is why I've done this, which was what it was bust on originally before I'd concluded overnight that I was going to buy Haaland. Now, if I don't think Haaland starts, then, or the news sounds like he doesn't, then I think it's back to Foden being a better option than Watkins. So captaincy is now on Foden for me, vice captaincy on Watkins, and that's legit. It's done. The team is saved. I'm not having anybody on. I don't play these sort of games. Sorry if I've not got to your question because of that, because, you know, you've got to deal with your own team. Vinish Palmer, mate. Jim So says, I'm wondering if Turner, Palmer, Sterling and Solanke's worth a bench boost. 2 Chelsea players at Liverpool and a Forest player playing against Arsenal. No, mate. Not for me, mate. There'll be better weeks. Surely that's got to look better for the weekend, doesn't it? Casey says, hi, James. Start Palmer or João Pedro. Didn't see João Pedro on the bench in dilemmas. That's fair, mate. There's a reason you won't see João Pedro on the bench in dilemmas. It's because I've got him 7th for captaincy this week. There's your answer, my friend. Excuse me. Greg Frost is -16 and bench boost for me. Good luck, Greg. Daniel says, would you keep Son if you held him? Probably would at this stage. Let's check on the South Korea score. They have equalised in the 99th minute, genuinely. Gu Sung Cho, assist from Young Woo Sol. Easy for you to say. So yes, South Korea equalised in the 99th minute. That is still playing in the 102nd minute. Is now full time and going to extra time. So South Korea still in. Bollocks. And that's your deadline for game week 22, guys. Apologies to those who I didn't get to the questions. I got through the majority. Yeah, again, sorry to those that I didn't get to, but hopefully what I've given you has covered your dilemmas. So I have landed with Haaland the team is the same as on screen. Foden is captain and Watkins is vice captain. I couldn't ignore that second one from FPL Tony. He's basically saying he thinks De Bruyne starts and Haaland doesn't, right? So I don't know if that would have changed anything for me. Because I knew once Guardiola did the presser today, I knew I'd buy Haaland today or in 23. It might have been that I'd have maybe just rolled without info. But can I be honest? I wouldn't have left it that late. I would not have left it that late to make a decision. Thank you, Andrew. By the way, thank you, Jamie, and someone else tagging me. Thank you, Jarvo, as well. I appreciate the messages on that, guys. Yeah, cool. Deadline done. Right, Mrs. is heading out tonight, so I've got 15 minutes tops. So if you've got any non-FPL questions, throw them in the chat. If you came just for the FPL stuff, smash a like, hit the sub button on your way out. You won't see me on the Deadline stream on Saturday because I'll be up at 4:45 in the morning because I'm going to Goodison Park. I have a ticket in the upper tier in the away end on Saturday lunchtime. So, sorry, there is no Deadline stream on Saturday. And I'm not going to do a stream on Friday night either because I need an early night. And on Friday, we'll be doing the Gameweek review podcast as well. So it's going to be a bit much, I think. I've got to think of me occasionally. So no Deadline stream on Saturday. We've obviously got Sky tomorrow. There's a stream on Thursday. So if you want to ask me questions on Thursday stream, you'll have a lot from Tuesday, Wednesday then. So that's scheduled for 11 a.m. UK time on Thursday. I can't do it any later because I've got to pick my son up from school at about 2:30. So it's 11 a.m. UK time, that stream on Thursday. And then we'll have our Game Review podcast on Friday. What I will say to people is if you tag me on Twitter, not in my DMs. Honestly, if I get a DM and it's just FPL stuff, I tend to just delete it. If you tag me on Twitter, unless you've been muted, I will answer your question. I promise you. Just out in the open, ask. And if it's a question that I think would be helpful to other people, I'll quote tweet it and answer it that way. If you want to ask me those sort of questions on Friday, I will get to the questions on Friday. But obviously recommend for Saturday stream, one of the other brilliant FPL content creators will look after you. The Deadline stream will return on Saturday the 10th of February at 10 a.m. UK time in the morning. Right, let's do some non-FPL for a few minutes then. What have we got here? Casey says, lol, didn't even think to look for João Pedro and captaincy. Thanks for answering. You're very, very welcome. Yeah, Ben's asking about Surge. Yeah, he messaged me earlier and he said, I'll tell you exactly, because I messaged him this morning because I've not spoken to him today. Because I was doing the content with Clayton. I messaged him this morning. I said, book out 5 minutes in your day between 3 and 5. And then I messaged him again and said at 4:27 and said FPL reminder. And he messaged me back at 4:38 and he said done. So I don't know what he's done. I know his intention was to sell Salah. Where he's gone, I'm not sure. I presume it will be a Manchester City player, I would have thought. But yeah, he hasn't missed it this time. Right, who we got? Joey Shakespeare, great stream. James, love the content and insight. Thank you. Drop a like, everyone. Thank you. Addy says, career-defining goal. Sorry, will get my coat. I mean, you could have at least written career as in the country, Addy. Yeah, come on, mate. Chris Church says, good luck all for the game week. Yeah, echo that. Andrew Jarvis says, cheers, James, for the great content. Thank you, Jarvo. Charlie says, thanks for the stream, James. You're very welcome. Static, non-FPL, how's Harry? Very well, thank you. Yeah, good. Brilliant. Thank you for asking. Birth Media, you should trademark crack on. Do I say it a lot? Sorry. Neil Kager says, thanks, James. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the matches. You too. Sean says, hi, James. John FMO. It seems a hearing date is in for City, and based on recent info from reliable sources, it really feels like the net is closing in on them. Do you think they'll pay the price? Yes. But it still won't be soon. I think there are some people who think it'll be another 3 years or so. I don't think it'll be that long. I think it'll be next year. And I think that if they're found guilty, the punishment really should be so severe. I don't think it's a punishment that they can give to them during the season. So I think it will be May or June 2025. Barry Coleman says, just transferred out Gordon instead of Son 5 minutes ago. Damn. Well, they're on terms now. Extra time, I don't even think it has. It's a minute into extra time starting now. 99th minute equaliser. Jammy fuckers. I don't want to say come on the other team. I just want South Korea to lose, right? MRCX, you're very welcome. Andrew says, non-footy question. You put the TV on and top of the top two is on. What you would like them to feature? Oh, for me, it would be like late 90s, 98 or something like that, maybe. I mean, influenced by your teen years very much, aren't you? Andrew Jarvis is non-FPL question. What are you reading or listening to on the coach to Everton? To be honest with you, we're getting up so fucking early. My intention is to go to sleep, and hopefully wake up at a service station at about 9 o'clock, 9:30 or something, and then eat. That's my plan. And the coach leaves at 5:45, right? So, and it's a couple of miles away to get the coach, right? I need to get a cab to get the coach. There's no transport way of doing it at that time of day. So yeah, the shit we do. Dad hasn't been to Everton since the 80s. And obviously this could be the last year. I've been up 3 times without my dad. Seen us win, draw and lose. It'd be my first time up a tier actually. All the previous times I've been in the lower tier. I think I got a post that's going to be not far away from a goal. But there you go. Is what it is. Will Shaw says, what is a Hotspur? Sorry for the stupid question. No, you're not a stupid question, mate. The question is, there's a song at Tottenham that's If You Know Your History, and there's a few other clubs sing it as well. Harry Hotspur was a man who founded Tottenham Hotspur, and that's it. It's as simplistic as that, mate. Atul Balaji says, Gary O'Neill has rocked my world. Did you see Cunha's goal celebration the other day? Has to be my favourite one in recent memory. What's your favourite goal celebration by a Spurs player? It's got to be the Harry Kane mask, isn't it, I think? The Harry Kane mask against Arsenal. Just fucking adrenaline of that. The Klinsmann dive's the most iconic, isn't it? But otherwise, yeah, the mask, no premeditated, just rip the emotion out of that moment. The roof come off with that goal winning. For 10 minutes, I thought it was going to win the leg. Didn't last long. James says, James's DMs are reserved for female fans only. Nah, I mean, if females have slid in my DMs and asking me FPL questions, my DMs are open for one reason only, and I say this all the time, and it's if people generally want to talk. I put enough content out there during the course of the week that, and I know not everyone has time to listen to all of it, but you do get sick of repeating yourself. And to be honest, what happens is, and this is unfortunate, right, and this won't be for all of you, of course not, But unfortunately, once you open your DMs as a gateway to people, people think it's a gateway to ask you questions every week. And you know what my motto is: play it your way. I'm not managing your team. You manage your team. I'll give you advice. You want my advice? Fine. And unfortunately, it's because people think it's a gateway to just DM me every day and ask FPL questions. I just shut it off, unfortunately. If you ask me out in the open space, cool. You can ask me out in the open space every week, and I'll probably ask you a question. After a while, I'll be like, come on, mate. But that's why. Unfortunately, and this would be the same for so many content creators, if you just open them to anybody for anything on FPL, then you're just inundated all the time. It'd be people DM me now, even though they know I can't answer because I'm doing the stream and stuff. The reason my DMs are open primarily is if people want to talk to me and actually need help with real life matters, mental health stuff, things that we advocate in terms of speaking up about. That's why my DMs are open, and I will give anybody. Someone messages me with something, and they're asking for help. 100% their message is getting accepted, and I will respond. People send me a screenshot of their FPL team like thoughts. No, I don't. I've given you my thoughts on the content. I don't really give a shit. Paris says, "Hi James, do you play Soiree? If so, thoughts." No, and got none. Jassim says, "Best free from Liverpool City for 25." We'll just say less now. We'll cover it Friday and stuff, man. Doyle Price says, "What are the topic for the midweek stream this week?" What are the topic for the? On my stream, it's whatever you ask me is whatever I talk about. Callum says, "Paul, the surgeon missed the deadline. Thought it was 6:15. Was waiting for career game to finish. Oh no." Sweet Blue says it was coming for career. To be fair, Saudi was so deep. Yeah, I did say I could see on the graphic that they were pounding them. MRCX says, "Really, if City's found guilty, an adequate punishment would be somewhere between relegation from the Premier League and exclusion from the Football League. In my opinion, do you agree?" Yes. Yeah, I do. But got to be found guilty first. And that would be the hardest bit for the Premier League. What you got to remember is this, right? People compare Everton and City. I don't know, I certainly think Everton have been incredibly harshly treated. We've covered that previously. But people go, where's the City punishment? Where's the City punishment? Everton's is a black and white case, and you can say there's black and white that you disagree with, but it's just on black and white financial over a few years. Manchester City are essentially accused of fraud and lying. Two completely different cases. Addy Tor says, "Favourite Spurs v Everton game?" Oh, not the 95 FA Cup semi-final. Why did I have a bad memory first and foremost? The 3-0 win at Goodison was really good a few years. We played so well. He played, and he never played it again, Pochettino. He played a back three with wing backs. It was Davinson Sanchez-Davies. He played him in between Vertonghen and Alderweireld. He played Ben Davis. It must have been Trippier as wing backs, and he played a diamond. He played a diamond and then with Dele just off of Harry Kane. He never played it again. Never played it again. It was so narrow that midfield, and we won 3-0, and we were really good. It was a fair reflection of the game. We've had some real come from behind victories. Darren Caskey, last minute winner. 93-94. Andy Turner, 17-year-old, last minute winner the season before. I remember a game we won 3-2. Paul Gascoigne was playing for Everton in, I want to say, 2001, and we were 2-0 down. We had loads of games with Everton where we came from behind and won. 4-1 Christmas 98. It was a couple of days after Christmas, December 28th, I think. Chris Armstrong got a hat-trick. See, I remember the older ones first. 4-0 at Wembley. Played really well that night. Just because it was Wembley didn't feel as, I don't know, just not held in the same way. But yeah, that played really well that night. That was a Saturday evening game against Everton. 3-2 when they were pretty good. Last season at White Hart Lane as well. Harry got a couple that day. Dele got a late goal. Really good goal. Poch proper give it big, and when the third went in. Yeah, to be honest, way more good memories against Everton than bad, it should be said. Remember brilliant goal Modric got against them in 2012. The three Croatians, Chorluka, Kranjčar and Modric all playing tiki-taka, and then Modric looping it over Tim Howard. Yeah, got largely good Everton memories. Dan Moss says Ginola top off and flex. David got a great goal at Everton in the 97-98 season. It was Christian Gross's first game as managers. Right, I'm going to finish with Attle because I've got to rattle these because I'm going to get killed. Andrew says, why are stadiums built on the ground rather than in it? Why are stadiums built on the ground rather than it? Well, some go into the ground. That's not the case in all of them. FPL Gold Galazzo, how much did you rate Van der Vaart at Spurs? Yeah, highly. Was a big player for us. Good player. Probably not great because his period was short. But yeah, really good in that first season, 10-11. MRCX says, would you rather have Prime Klinsmann or Prime Berbatov in the team right now? In this team, Klinsmann. Because of how we play Berbatov, you just couldn't play with Berbatov in this team. You could, but it just wouldn't work. So Klinsmann would have been way better suited for this particular team. If you ask me which one in its prime, just whatever in terms of a dream team, Berbatov for me, yeah. Jay Barker says, you expecting any deadline day activity? Must be the quietest window in a while. There'll be bits, but not a lot, I don't think. Attle says, from what you have read about it, do you feel sorry about the Forest situation? Let's wait until we see the final numbers. I feel sorry for the supporters. Do I feel sorry for the club for acting recklessly? That's the word I've used for Forest and Everton, and the way their ownership has acted recklessly. Then no. Do I feel sorry for the supporters? Yeah, I do. And Attle says, obviously Kane is world class, so I'm sure you'd love to have him back, but do you think he'd suit Ange's system as it is? I've said this before, Tottenham need to move on, mate. Listen, it's Harry Kane. Would we be better off with Harry Kane in the team than Richarlison? Yeah, come on. It goes without saying. But yeah, I don't think it would... it wouldn't work in the same way, but Harry would outweigh it with a sheer volume of goals he'd get, right? When them chances get created, you know he's going to finish them. So yeah, it would have worked. But I will add to that, do I wish he was still there? Yes. But I also think we wouldn't have had the start of the season we've had without him. It's meant that the team could just focus without, because it'd be there in the background, wouldn't it? Is he going to sign? Is he going to sign? It'd be going on every day. Is he going to sign, etc. So we haven't had to worry about that. So that's been a major positive. But I do think Tottenham shouldn't go back. I really don't think Tottenham should go back. I think it should move on. If he becomes available and he goes to another English club, he goes to another English club. Right, I'm going to leave you there. Love you lots. SkyPod tomorrow. If you want to support the show, www.patreon.com/planetfpo. You can also get no ads from basic tier on Patreon as well, if the ads are too buggy for you. They don't include the deadline stream though, because it doesn't go on Patreon. But all the other content does. Right, I'll leave you there. Lots of love. Hope your hours are green this week.